What's up, YouTube? We back with another review. Today we're going to be reviewing Gachaikuta episode 16. Let's get it. And so as we get into the anime, the manhole user is using her ability to watch over all the fights of the raiders and the cleaners. As she's spectating them, she's jotting down information. But as she's looking at one cam, she's shocked. She infers that one of the raiders has given one of the cleaner members some information. Moving along a little bit, we go to one of the cleaners, Dear Santa and Papa. And as they're looking down at their foe, the kid, like cleaner Deer, is giving this guy the death stare. And bro, who's the guardian of Deer, tells him, "Hey man, quit staring at the guy, you gonna get wrinkles." Deer looks at him with a mad face. Bro responds and says, "I know you mad that we came down here last minute, but hey, just look at it like a last minute job." And while he's talking, he also says, "I know you joined also because you care about Rudo." Deer then looks at him with an uneasy face. He says, "Oops, I forgot you sensitive about the topic." As we move forward a little bit, Deer and Bro start to engage with the enemy. And after they chit-chat and talk and get to know each other more, Bro says, "Hey, what's your story? You don't seem like you hostile or mad at us." He says, "My name's Bundus. You can call me that." He then says, "It's true, I'm not hostile right now. And as for my story, I'm here under orders from Zoidal, the head of the Raiders." He then explains that he's also here for a personal reason. He wants information. And as he's talking, Deer, the other cleaner, notices a weird creature. It's a finger with legs and it's crawling. They both panic. They don't know what is it. And as things are getting intense, we go back to Bundus. He then tells them his ultimate plan. He says, "I want information on the head of the cleaners." He then wagers them. He says, "If you give me information about him, in exchange, I'll tell you what happens if we beat y'all." Right as he says this, his vital instrument sparks up and more of these weird-like creatures come up out of it. As we move forward a little bit, we go back to the cleaners' headquarters. Simu, the receptionist, is talking to Corvus, the head of the cleaners. She informs him that the cleaners has been taken away by the manhole user. After she chastises him about not being able to communicate with them properly, he comes up with a strategy to try to get the cleaners back. He says, "I'll find them. I happen to know a good information broker." As we move along, the anime goes back to Deer, Bro, and Bundus. Bundus is asking him for information about the head of the cleaner, Corvus. But Bro says, "Wait, I won't tell you nothing to put us at a disadvantage." Bundus agrees. He says, "Hey man, I'm just an individualist trying to get information. I won't report it back to the Raiders." After talking, both of them come to an agreement. And so then Bundus starts to ask for information about Corvus. And to Bro's surprise, he starts to ask the weirdest questions. He's so thrown off that he can't even answer them. Soon after, Bundus steps down and he says, I see what you're trying to do." Bro says, "No, man, I really can't answer the questions." Bundus then says, "Okay, I guess it's my turn to give you some info." And he drops a bomb. He tells Bro that the Raiders been cooking up. They actually made a couple trash beasts themselves. And if the cleaners were to lose to them, they will offer them up to these trash beasts. As soon as he says this, the manhole user's listening in on their conversation real close. And she looks a bit shocked. And after that small cutscene, we go back to Bundus, Deer, and Bro. And Bro is talking to Deer. He says, "Yo, we just finessed him. We ain't give him no information, but he just told us some critical information." Soon after, Bundus says, "Yo, Bro, thank you for giving me the information about Corvus. And now that I know he loves sweets, he's not as mysterious as he seems. He actually seems human." Soon after, the anime goes back to Zanka versus Jabba. Jabba's talking to Zanka and he's trying to convince him to unleash his full power. Like a madman, Jabba explains to Zanka. He says, "When I know I can't beat a person and they're stronger than me, that's when I get a thrill. That's when I feel alive." He then begs Zanka again. He says, "Please, unleash your full power. Let's go at it." Zanka gazes up on him and he's like, "Man, I'm all out of ideas." After this, we move on. And we go back to the head of the Raiders and Rudo. Zoidal starts to give his ideology on the spear. And not only that, the effect that the spear has on living and human creatures. And how the trash falling down from the spear changes these creatures and humans, making them adapt to their new environment. And ultimately making them the type of person they'll be. Good or evil. Zoidal then continues and he tells Rudo that even though we're from two different places, we have the same look in our eye. And after pointing out their similarities, he tells Rudo that he had to meet him because Jabba said that they were so much alike. Rudo responds angry. He says, "Man, you didn't have to meet me this way, bringing all the cleaners into it. telling me you want me to team up with you to take down the spear. He says, I don't need you to take down the spear. I'll do it because I want to, and I gotta get payback on some people. Zordon catches on to Rudo saying normal, so he says, normal, I wonder what that means. Afterwards, he tells Rudo about the lore of when the trash fall from the spear and how the people on the ground worship it. He says that they see it as a blessing, even though the trash kills them. He explains to Rudo that that's just the norm down here, and once you get used to it, anybody who goes against it will be seen as crazy. He says that this corrupt ideology is brainwashed to the people on the ground. When he says that, Rudo gets a flashback of the spear, and the anime shows you the similarities between the corrupt minds of the people on the spear and the ground. It's the same thing. Continuing on, Zordon says, but there's a way to stop this corrupt ideology. You gotta have a shock to the system. He then explains this shock to the system. He says, when you shock a person, their true nature comes to the front. He then reminds Rudo, he says, you got shocked when Jabba stabbed Grease. He then suddenly says, and oh yeah, your cleaner friend that Jabba's fighting right now is finna get a shock to his system, but can he handle it or will he die? The anime then suddenly switches to the battle between Zanka and Jabba. And as Jabba goes on the attack, Jabba starts to think to himself, he's like, man, here we go again. I'm gonna lose to a person that's naturally gifted. But this doesn't make him not want to fight. It actually gives him a rush, and he takes up on the challenge. He gets in his stand. Jabba then responds. He tries to attack him. And after Zanka does his best to try to defend off these crazy attacks, Jabba then unleashes one of his ultimate attacks. And while Zanka's trying to defend for his life, he would find out that this attack is really just a distraction. Because as he's trying to ward off the attack, Jabba emerges and he drop kicks him to the ground with a vicious attack. And as he's struggling from the attack, Jabba looks to finish him off with his lethal claws. But what's crazy is right when he goes in for the kill with his claw, Zanka actually stops it with his teeth. Jabba says, oh, you still have some fight in you. And he would be right, because as he's saying this, Zanka grabs his vital instrument and smashes Jabba ribs, breaking 3 of them. And after following that up with a lethal punch, he throws Jabba to the ground. After this attack, Zanka starts to rush him and go on the offensive. And it looks like he's winning this match. But unfortunately, that won't be true. Because when it looked like Jabba's going down, out of nowhere, he uses his vital instrument, his claw. And the toxins in this claw immobilizes Zanka. And after a little trolling, Zanka, like a demon, stabs him in his chest. And this would be the lethal blow. And with that, that wraps up the episode.